Welcome. I'm Richard Martin, the Flying Above marketer, and I thank you for taking time out of your busy day today to come listen to me talk about some things within the aviation industry that I believe are um, important in the broader scope of how things go in this particular area. But, when we're out at air shows and these other events that we all love to go to and attend and have fun at, it's how do you, when you're in a booth, whether you're outside, in one of the great big expansive ones, or you're in a little 5 or 6 foot square box inside one of the hangars, how do you attract the right person for you to have a conversation with? Or another way to say that, how do you attract your ideal customer? If nothing else, just to say hi and answer their question. How do you get to that position? How do you draw them in? As you know, and as we all know, the crowds can get loud quite quickly. And from my experience, at most 3 seconds, you have 3 seconds to acknowledge that person, or they're squeezed out of the line by other people trying to squeeze in to get to talk to you and see what you have. So it becomes difficult. And the whole key of bringing this in is we want to have a conversation. We want to have a conversation that's meaningful to them and to us. Because when you're at this show or expo, you've got a limited amount of time in front of people. And usually during prime times anyway, it slows down in the late afternoon and such. But you've got a very short time to effectively communicate what you do and how you do it and how it's best for them. You know, it's just one of those things. I mean, we've got, tens of thousands that come through these, Sun and Fun, Air Venture, and all of those. They're packed, and time is precious. But you've got to still get that visibility and their recognition. You know, and it's very difficult to have a serious conversation without interruption, whether somebody butts in intentionally or unintentionally. It doesn't matter. It's hard to have a conversation. I see many booths that have containers for drop your business card in. We have accordion stands for flyers, um, pretend ostensibly, for just passersby. Bowls for business cards and high-end brochures hidden in the back. Those are only for those people that are ready to buy now. But no matter what's there, absolutely nothing is going to happen before you establish trust with your suspects, prospects, and clients. So, in my opinion, you're putting the passersby above serious prospects. And we have to seriously analyze this. In most cases, there's no area for a one-on-one conversation. Although in the last couple of years, I've seen people put a table towards the back, which I am totally in favor of. It's the way to do it, but you got to keep everybody away from it. People can't come into your space and then at the same time try to take over the conversation. So you have to work it out and see what works best for you, but you got to keep it by. Um, so just to be fair, I have seen a few booths that understand this very principle, but they're few and far between. And my purpose is to get you to look at what you're doing, analyze what's happening, analyze who is your ideal customer. Who is that person that you really want to spend time with? Because that's what's really, really important. Um, but before you can do that, you have to have their trust, or they're not going to open up to you. Out of all the cards I've dropped into fish bowls, I've only received one email and no calls. Like I said, nothing happens but first a conversation. And I built my business, my consulting business, around that very simple message. Nothing happens but first a conversation. What do you say? How do you say it? What are their intents? How do you follow through? And this really short message needs to be totally impactful, and it has to be built before the trust can be granted to you. So, when we look at this and we just think about it for a second, how do we identify these people? How do we know who is worth our time? You know, there's some very easy questions that we can ask that's out there. One of the questions we could ask is, what is your time frame? Now, that's a little blunt and I don't recommend it, but it could be asked. You know, do you have an aircraft now? How long have you been flying? Do you intend to have any upgrades in the next 6 to 12 months? Now you're getting into more specifics of what goes on and what happens in there. And, again, I know time's tight. We don't have time to have a massive conversation. Maybe late in the afternoon and stuff you can. But, that's how you put all of this through. You put it together so that you can have that conversation. You can build a rapport that's there. You can begin to build what Bob Berg calls the know, like, and trust factor. And that's the formula I use when I'm working with getting customers, prospects, all those things is how do I get liked by somebody? How do you get somebody to like you? You know? So once you get somebody to like you, now we have the situation of trust. Trust, my friend, takes times. And a lot of times, trust isn't totally earned unless there is a mistake or an error, and you have the opportunity to make it right by going over and above whatever the situation called for. That's where you get into the trust factor. So, know, like, and trust is how you have to figure out how you fit into that process. How does your business fit in there? Again, it doesn't matter whether you're selling aircraft components, accessories, hangars, tractors, anything else that's there. The whole thing is be truthful, build a relationship, get to know, like, and trust them. This will be up for replay late this afternoon or first thing in the morning. And I hope you all have just an amazing day and make it fun.